Hey everybody, welcome! My name is Kurt, aka the Vitruvian Gamer, and we're here with a new list. This time I'm doing my top 75 board games of all time, according to me, at this moment in time, because this list, as I noticed while making it, is very subjective to the time when I make the list, because things might be very much different in a month or so. But anyway, I'm going to do a top 75 of the games that I like the most at this moment. And before I start, I want to do a small introduction here. And after that, I'm already going to start from number 75 to 71. And then each episode will be 10 games going from, for example, from 70 to 61 and so on until we reach number 1. Now, as you can see, my shelves here behind me are empty. That's a really strange sight. So I took everything out of these shelves, which was a lot of work. I put everything in it according to my top 75 to see how it fits. I took a picture of it. And each time I mention a game, I will put it in the shelves starting from even below here. I need 3 of these rows to fill up with my 75 most liked games. Now, of course, also, I don't own all the games that are in my list. Some are owned by my club, some by friends, and stuff like that. So not every game will be shown by me. Now, I try to put a picture somewhere or whatever I will do while editing this video, so you can see how the game looks like, the game that I'm talking about. Now, many things have changed. There are many new games in the list, not only from 2016, which has just ended, but also from years before that, games that I haven't played before, which apparently were great for me. What else? So, at the end of the list, when we get to the number 1, I will also do a live episode. I'll probably call it All Aboard again, episode of All Aboard, which I will do live, where we can discuss all the games that I mentioned, or part of the games that I mentioned, but probably especially games that you didn't see on this list, and then we can discuss why they aren't here. So if you think after these episodes, why the hell is game X not here on the list while it's so popular, well, we'll discuss that in a live episode of All Aboard later, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, and to be honest, there are many games that aren't in my top 75, not even my top 100, because I made the top 100, and the other 25 are here. And here is my top. Let's see if I don't spoil anything. This is my top 75 here. But there are many games from the Board Game Geek top 100 that aren't in this list. This was very something that I noticed. It was I was surprised that many games were rated quite low, or much lower than I would rate them. So that's that. So if you have any complaints, any ideas, any reactions, any comments about the games that I chose, please put them in the comments so we can talk already a little bit about them there. And then after we've done the complete list, we'll do it live together. You in the chat, I with my face on YouTube. That's the way this channel works. Okay, folks, without further ado, let's get going with number 75. And 75 is one that I changed right before I made this list, because I played the game right before I made this list. It arrived to me a few days ago, and I played it. It's a solo game, and wow, I really like this. I had to force myself in starting to film this list and stop playing this game, because this is a cool one. And it might become one of my favorite solo games. And the game I'm talking about is this one here, Deep Space D6. Now, I think this used to be a print and play game that you could, print out of Board Game Geek. You could print yourself. You needed some dice, I assume. But now it has been published. It was hard to find. I saw it somewhere on the YouTube channel a few months ago. I really wanted it, but it wasn't available here. And suddenly my local game store, and I don't say the friendly local game store. Suddenly had it on its website. I ordered it immediately and now I have it. Now Deep Space D6, in Deep Space D6 you are, well, you are the captain of a spaceship. There are a few inside of the box, each with their own special locations, their own the rooms or locations on the ship, which has special actions. Now at the beginning of a round you roll dice. Those are your crew dice, and the crew dice, they have values on them. They could have a bad value that you have to lock on top of the ship, and those are threats. And if you scanners, you're scanning, and if it gets completely filled with dice with the symbol, you have to draw a threat. Now in the meantime, you can place your other dice, your other crew, on certain locations on the ship, which give them special powers and make you shoot at threats or shoot a stasis beam on it. You might heal crew that are in the infirmary and stuff like that, and then you go to the threat phase where you draw a new threat and you roll a d6. Now each threat that is threatening you has a hit points and also has some one or more dice value, which make them activate if you roll that number. And well, you are just trying to survive. You have shields, you have your hull that, well, if that gets to 0, well, you're dead. If all your crew members go to the infirmary, you're dead as well. And you try to go through a whole deck of threats. Very cool game. I'm really enjoying this, and after this I'll probably go back to playing this one. This is my number 75, Deep Space D6. Now, this game is, if you want to know, of course, the designer is Tony Go. It is published by Tau Leader Games, and it says number 1, so they're probably going to do more. And on Board Game Geek, this is number 1771. My 74 is a very popular game, and it is, well, you can notice it on Board Game Geek because it's number 15 on Board Game Geek. It's a game designed by multiple people: Justin Kempinen, I hope I pronounce this right, Cory Konietzka, and Jonathan Ying. And well, you might already know it, which one it is. It's a big one, folks. This is a big one because I'm talking about Imperial Assault. Now, this game is very popular. As I said, it's number 15 on Board Game Geek. So why isn't it on way higher on my list? Well, first of all, I love the theme. This is awesome. The theme is very cool, of course. Star Wars, well, there are not that many people who don't like Star Wars. The production value is awesome. The miniatures are cool. It has everything it needs. Now, there are two things why this is just not higher on my list. Not because I don't like the game. It's still on the list. But first of all, it's a 1 versus many game. I'm not so fond of 1 versus many. Now, this one does it quite okay. You have to do your very best to try to stop your opponents if you are the Imperial player. And the other players, of course, play the Rebels. And you still have to, you cannot, sometimes you feel guilty when you are bashing your opponents. You just want to have them to have a good time. Now with this game it's okay. You have to do your best because otherwise you get destroyed as an Imperial player. And so far I've been losing because I'm holding back a little bit, but not too much. But I just want to have the people that I play with much fun. But it is a very cool game. Now on the other side, reason number 2 why it's not higher is because it is a campaign. Well, most of the game is a campaign. Now, the campaign is very cool. It's like an other story in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe. Very cool. But the problem is you have to, well, you want to play it with the same people each time, like you do also with a legacy game or so. Why? Because it's a campaign. You want to do the whole story with the same people. And there is a problem for me personally. It's not the problem of the game, but it's my problem. It has been, I think it has been 10 months since we got to play this because we just cannot find time to play it together with the people that we're playing it with. So that's sad. That makes it hard for me. That makes it 74 on the list, which is pretty cool still. And yeah, that's it. There's also a skirmish mode here where you can fight 1 versus 1 on these different maps. You can choose your own team of heroes or villains and play that way. I haven't done it that way. Maybe if I do, I discover a whole new part of this game and it might go higher on the list. But for now, it is number 74, Imperial Assault. My number 73 is new on the list. Why? Because it's new from 2016. And honestly, I think most lists that I saw already, who done their top 10 of 2016, well, they put this on number 1. Now, I haven't done that, and well, that might be a surprise, and this might be one of the most controversial picks on the list that isn't higher. 73 is okay though, and it's number 5 on Board Game Geek, number 5. So this is a very much loved game. Now I like it as well, but I only played it once, and that's probably the reason why I'm not putting. And let me just take the box cover because it's a heavy box. Star Wars Rebellion. Why I don't place it higher on the list? Because, well, this is a 2-player game, and it's designed by Cory Korzeniewska, which we just saw for Imperial Assault as well. So 2 Star Wars games next together. Now this is complete coincidence. I just made my list. I just did it the Tom Vassal way, where you choose one game, a card, and then you place left of them those you want to play less, and on the other side which you want to play more, and that way you get this list after many hours of work. And it's also published by Fantasy Flight Games. Now this is a game for 2 to 4 players, but this is a 2-player game, where one player again is the Imperials, and the other one are the Rebels. The Imperials are trying to find the Rebel base, which has been placed on the location on the planet at the beginning of the game by the Rebel player. Now, this game, if you play it completely to the end and you hide your base very well, it can take up to 2 or 3 hours. Now, that's a problem for me. I love this game, but each time I'm choosing a game to play with Elisa for most of the time, well, I want to take this, but then I think, wow, it has quite some setup time, and then you have to play 2 or 3 hours. Now, after you set up the game, you also could be very unlucky, and the Imperials might find your base very fast and destroy you. And then you have a game that lasts 20 minutes after setting it up for the whole time. So that's the sad thing about this game. But on the other side, this is, as they say, Star Wars in a box. This tells a whole complete Star Wars story with the characters you all know and love, but the story might be very different. Other planets might be destroyed by the Death Star, maybe someone else gets captured by Jabba the Hutt, whatever. Anything can happen in this game, and that's what makes it so cool, because you get another story with the same characters that you know. And that's why it's still on my list, because this is a very, very good game. For me, it's number 73. My 72 is, well, it's a new game from 2016, and it is not a new game from 2016, because this is a new edition from a game that, well, has been here for quite a while. Now, the new version that I'm talking about is, by the way, it's a game designed by James Johnson, and it's a game published by Games Workshop, so there's a clue for you. But the most popular, or the version that was the most popular, so it's an older version, is 201 on Board Game Geek. That's the 3rd edition, and for now, this new version of Blood Bowl is number 1584 on Board Game Geek. Now, this is a game that I bought this year because of nostalgia. I used to own the 3rd edition, which I just mentioned, but I borrowed it to someone, and I have no clue who got my copy, and it has been many years since I borrowed it, so I have no idea who has it, and I'm too ashamed to even ask who has it and to ask it back. It would be wrong, so I finally got a new copy because there's a new edition, and well, it is an awesome one. The miniatures are great, the components are awesome, the rules are almost completely the same as the one that I know from back in the days. And well, in this game, it's a 2-player game, and you're just playing American football, but with fantasy creatures. In the base game, you have the humans and the orcs, but there's also already a Skaven team available, and there will be more. There are dwarves, elves, halflings, and so on and so on. Now, this game, of course, is fantasy football, and well, you are just beating the crap out of each other while still trying to score touchdowns. Very cool game, very easy actually, not that hard rules. Only downside is it might take longer than it looks like. So you play 2 halves and you might play 2 or 3 hours in a game of Blood Bowl, but it's very fun. You have randomness with dice, some people will not like it, but that's the way to go. The coolest way to play this, if you play a season or competition or whatever, where, well, you get to level your characters when they do something cool, they get star points, you can spend star points to give them more special abilities, more speed, more strength, whatever, and that way they become stronger, your team becomes stronger. But when one of those players, which you give a name of course, dies or gets injured, man, it really hurts because you are starting to know and love your players. So this is my number 72, Blood Bowl. And then we come to number 71, and it's a completely different kind of game. Very, very small, much smaller, and it's numbered 579 on Board Game Geek. It is by designer Stefan Feld, a designer that I really, really like. You will see later in this list. And it is published by Alea or Ravensburger. Now sometimes I will mention the publisher, sometimes I won't, because sometimes it's not clear which publisher published it and stuff like that. So that might be hard. Now I'm talking about Castles of Burgundy, the card game. This is a 1 to 4 player game that actually is the small brother of his other version of the game, Castles of Burgundy. You have this board game from this as well. Now this only uses cards. And the cool thing is this is a $10-12 game, a 10-12 euro game, and this is a complete game. Now that's also the downside of this game. It takes more table space than you think. Now, it's a small box, but it has a big signature on the table because you're having your own tableau with cards, and it might become big. You have a tableau in the middle where you can buy cards with the cards in your hand. So the cards, they have their action, so it's a sort of set collection that you do and you put it in front of you, but you also play the cards in your hand as a number, as a die number, because there are die numbers on the card, and that way you can buy cards, activate abilities, gain silver, which can, or workers that can medicate your rolls, because you don't roll dice, your die figures, I guess, and that way you try to collect these sets of different kinds of buildings, cards, and that way you try to get the most points. A very cool game. Also the solo variant, very cool. I did a playthrough of it on my channel, so if you're interested in this one, go check it out. It managed to be my number 71 on the list for this year. That is Castles of Burgundy, the card game. So folks, that's it for the first part of my top 75. Now, these only 5 games that I mentioned because of the intro. Next time we will go from number 70 to 71, and let me see if there's something interesting there. I think, let's see. Oh yeah, there are some new games to the list, not 2016 games per se. Yeah, there are some new games to the list, new and old. So that is, it also already is an interesting list. So if you want, go and check it out as soon as it comes online. Feel free to comment below if you have something to say about the 5 games I mentioned already. And well, if you like it, give a thumbs up. If you want to follow the complete list later, feel free to subscribe on the subscribe button. That's how you do it. And well, I thank you already for watching this episode of my top 75, and I'll see you later. I see you all in the future. Bye bye.